What's up, everybody? Jason High back here with another video. I'm going to recap the Royals the past week of games. They just ended up taking down Cleveland and winning 3 of 4 at home against the Cleveland Guardians, against the first place, best record in the American League, Cleveland Guardians. Awesome. What a series. Okay, yeah, so let's talk about the Royals for the last couple of weeks. So, there was really kind of a little bit of a swoon going on in June. That's what everyone was saying, right? And it was true. The Royals at one point had only won 4 out of 16 games. They were losing a series to the Yankees. They lost 3 out of 4 to them. Then they went on the road, and they lost to the Dodgers 2 out of 3. Okay, those are 2 first-place teams. You're all kind of okay with that. You're like, well, all right, those are some of the best teams in baseball. They've been some of the best teams in baseball. They're some of the most experienced postseason teams in baseball over the last several years. No shame in losing to those teams, right? Okay, so then after that, the Royals had a couple of series against the Oakland A's, who will soon be moving, and they don't even currently have a Major League Stadium, right? This was their last game in the Coliseum, and then next year they're going to be playing without a home, literally, before they potentially move to Las Vegas. Royals went on the road and they lost 2 out of 3 in that series. So again, you're not happy about that. You want to win series if you're the Kansas City Royals. Up to this point, the Royals had gotten as a high water mark. They've gotten 15 games above 500 earlier in the month of May. And then you're starting to lose some series to the New York Yankees, the Dodgers. Then you've got a series against the A's. You want to win that series. It's baseball. It's very hard to sweep teams, but you really wanted to at least win that one. They did not. So then they went to Texas after that, and they got swept. And the Royals, about this point in time last week, were really feeling it. About last weekend, they were really feeling it offensively in a bad way, I should say. Not feeling it. It was bad. Parts were coming, players were not doing what they needed to do in the small ball game. They weren't hitting when they need to be hitting at runners in scoring position, and they just weren't getting on base, and they just weren't taking quality at bats. And a run of bad luck is going to go in with that. Again, these are major league hitters. Even when they're in slumps, even when they're not performing well, like they should be. Even a guy like Garrett Hampson, lower in your order, lower in your lineup. These are guys that are going to hit if you just give them time. But there are some times where you're just going to run into some bad luck with baseball. I feel like the Royals kind of earlier in the season were winning some games. They were winning a lot of close games, although they were losing some close games too. The Royals only are a 500 record team in one-run games this year so far, but their bullpen was really showing some leaks. And then they went ahead and they had a series against the Miami Marlins. Okay, so the Marlins come into town, and the Marlins are a team that you are not good. The Marlins are a bad team. They're almost 30 games under 500 at the start of that series. That's a team you need to beat. I'm sorry. If you're the Kansas City Royals, I almost made a video before that series, but I didn't because I was pretty busy. I had some stuff going on last weekend. But I'm going into this series as a Royals fan, and I'm saying, okay, you've lost to the Texas Rangers. Yeah, I may have said Texans earlier on accident. Texas Rangers. You got swept by them. You got shut out in 2 of those games. You just got outclassed, quite frankly, by a team that, yes, they were the defending world champs, but then you had lost to them all 3 times, okay, and you get swept. You don't even score in a couple of games, so they were on a 22-inning scoreless streak as an offense. You got the Miami Marlins coming in town. This is a team you got to beat. So the Royals did end up winning that first game 2-1, but it took, again, a really fantastic pitching performance from their starting pitching, and their offense kind of did just enough to win that one. They ended up winning 2 out of 3 in that series, but you kind of felt like, okay, well, Miami Marlins are no good. I mean, that's a team, quite frankly, that you're not going to play a lot more of those teams the rest of the way. You're going to get some more series against the White Sox. You're going to play the A's again. You will continue to play some bad teams, and the Royals need to continue to beat up on those bad teams, in my opinion, if they want to hold a playoff spot. But anyways, I'm just kind of setting the table here for this Guardians series that we got to this weekend, a 4-game series starting on Thursday. You're the Kansas City Royals. You've fallen out of a playoff spot. Even though it's only June, we're still looking at the playoffs, and that's how you have to look at it, is how are they performing relative to their peers in the American League, because those are the teams that you're going to be fighting and competing against to make the playoffs potentially, and also once you get to the playoffs. So the Royals are coming into the series against Cleveland. I'm happy that they won 2 out of 3 against the Marlins. They had to come back to win that series. That was very exciting. You were hoping that was the kind of series and the kind of game that can go ahead and get the offense jump-started, and boy, did it. We're getting into this Cleveland series now. The Royals ended up winning 3 out of 4 against the Cleveland Guardians. They won on Thursday with a strong pitching performance from Alec Marsh. Then they won on Friday, and then yesterday they actually fell 7-2. Cole Reagans got roughed up a little bit. They had a home run review call go against them that a lot of people really, I mean, it was clearly a foul ball, but whatever. It wasn't overturned. I'm not too worried about that. The Royals lost the game and they only scored 2 runs. It happens. Cleveland's a really good team, and as of right now with this video, the Royals just finished up a 6-2 victory. At least that's the score going into the 9th inning. I'm going to do a little bit of a jinx here, and I'm going to record the video before the game is over. But they ended up winning this game and the series so far for the weekend. So where are we at with the Royals right now? I'm going to look at the standings for a second. The Royals right now are still going to end up being 7 games behind Cleveland after the completion of this series. But hey, that's good. They were 9 games back. You picked up 2 games in the standing against Cleveland in the AL Central. That's great. That's good news. But I got to be honest, I'm not too concerned about the AL Central still at the moment. I know you wanted to win the division. You know, for you Chiefs fans out there, that's what Andy Reid always talks about. You got to beat teams in your division. In Major League Baseball, for a team like the Kansas City Royals that hasn't made the playoffs since 2015, and quite frankly has only made the playoffs 2 times in my entire life, I would be more than happy with a wild card berth. I think everybody in that organization and in this city would also be happy with a wild card berth. So, looking at the wild card standings, the Royals now are very firmly in a playoff spot still. They are 1.5 games up on Boston, who also won today. And that's kind of the team they're looking at competing against right now. And they also picked up a half game on Minnesota. As of right now, Minnesota is starting to play a game today against Seattle. That score, I think, was 1-0 early in the game. So we'll see what happens there. But anyways, regardless of what happens at the end of today, the Royals are in a playoff spot. They are firmly entrenched in that wild card race. Remember, there are 3 divisions in the American League. There's the American League East, which actually has Baltimore leading that division right now. It's hard to believe the Yankees actually have fallen out of first and are a wild card team. You've got the AL Central, which of course has Cleveland and Kansas City in it, and also Minnesota. And then you've got the AL West. Seattle is still leading that AL West right now. Texas Rangers are in there as the defending world champs. But honestly, ever since they've swept the Royals, they haven't won a game. They've lost 6 in a row since then. So you're looking at a team like the Rangers. You see them kind of falling out of it a little bit. You see a team like Detroit. They're now 7 games back of the final wild card spot. They're 8 games under 500. And then you see teams like the Houston Astros that have gotten hot, are back in it. You've got Tampa Bay, which the Royals are getting ready to start a series with. Tampa Bay Rays, they are a 500 team right now. But as we've kind of seen for a long time, Tampa Bay has been a consistently good force in the American League, even if it's a wild card team this year, because clearly either the Orioles or the Yankees in that American League East are going to win it. Tampa Bay's not going to win it, but just like the Royals, they're looking at a potential wild card berth. Now, I don't want you all to take this the wrong way as if I'm just totally giving up on the AL Central. I'm not. I think the Royals showed this weekend that they can hang with Cleveland. The Royals are actually 5-2 against, or no, excuse me, they're 4-2 against the Cleveland Guardians this year so far. So they can hang with them. They've shown that they can do that. They've shown that they're not getting outclassed by Cleveland. I think the Royals starting pitching right now, honestly, is going to line up with anybody. You've got Seth Lugo right now, who has an ERA below 2.2, and he's leading the league in innings and wins. I mean, he's awesome. He's already got 10 wins. He's going to pick up an 11th today. So he's been great. You got Cole Reagans, who has, I think he's 3rd in the American League in strikeouts right now. He's been a fantastic number 2 starter. You'd be more than happy with him as a number 1, and he's your number 2. You've got Brady Singer, who's really been hot lately. Alec Marsh, who's been doing really well. Michael Wacha just came back from the injured list, as did Michael Massey, which is really great. Hunter Renfroe's hitting well too. He just got back off the IL, so that's really good. So your starting pitching has been consistent, and they have a little bit of depth, not a ton of depth, but you got Kris Bubic coming back from an injury. For those of you that forgot, Kris Bubic was part of that 2018 draft class, the same one that had Brady Singer and Daniel Lynch in it, amongst others with Jackson Kowar, John Heasley, who are no longer with the organization. But Kris Bubic underwent Tommy John surgery last year. He looked very solid in 4 starts before that. Kris Bubic is left-handed. He doesn't throw super hard. He's not really a flame-throwing type left-handed pitcher, but I'm curious to see what the Royals do with him. They did say they're going to transition to a role in the bullpen, so I do want to see what they do there. But yeah, the Royals starting pitching is looking really good. Right now, the Royals are very much still in this thing. They're in it, okay? You go into last week, They've only won 4 out of 16 games. You're starting to feel like, okay, it's kind of the same old Royals. No, they have very much ended this slump by taking 3 out of 4 from a team like Cleveland. It's very exciting, and there's a lot of season left for this team. But I love seeing the offense heat up like it has with guys like Michael Massey, like Hunter Renfroe. Bobby Witt Jr. has been amazing, and then they have the starting pitching. And that is going to work. I just love seeing this. If you have the starting pitching and you have the offense that can play like they can, they've got a fairly deep lineup now. It kind of turns around all of a sudden, and you look at it, and it's like, well, a week ago it felt like the Royals really didn't have a good 6 through 9 in their lineup, but at this point, if Hunter Renfroe and Michael Massey are hitting like that, Maikel Garcia is starting to pick it up a little bit lately, and then you've obviously got Bobby Witt, who is just a star. I mean, he's just been amazing. He hit another triple today. He's got, he had 3 hits today before that triple. Now he's got a 4-hit game. He's been amazing. He's just so fun to watch. I just can't say enough about Bobby Witt Jr. and how fun it is watching a player like him play for the Kansas City Royals. Salvador Perez hit a home run today. I hope he's getting out of his slump that he's been in June. But Salvador's going to be there. He's a guy that's always going to be able to hit for power at the catching position. So the Royals lineup right now is really looking good. And I want to see what they do over the next couple of weeks, because the big thing at the end of this month is the Major League Baseball trade deadline. I'm curious to see what kind of moves the Royals make. But going ahead and taking 3 out of 4 against Cleveland like that, then they took 2 out of 3 against Miami. Now you got a series against the Rays coming up. If the Royals can get hot again, and right now they are 8 games above 500, which is really good. It's, again, their high water mark. They got up to 15 games above 500, but earlier this week they were as low as 5 games above 500, excuse me. And so seeing them right at that 8-9 game above 500 mark, seeing them very firmly at the top of the middle of the wild card race, I should say, where they have a little bit of room, but they're very much in it. I think the Royals are going to make some trades at the end of the month, or probably sooner. I think if I'm JJ Picollo, after this series that they just took 3 out of 4 against them, I've seen enough, and I think he's going to start making some moves pretty soon. I think they're going to shore up that bullpen a little bit. I don't know that they're necessarily going to make a move for like a starting position player. Center field is probably the position I would go with right now. I think you got Kyle Isbell there, who's a really good defensive player, but he's just not been a consistent hitter throughout his major league career. So I don't know. Maybe you go get a guy like Luis Robert from the Chicago White Sox. Maybe you sell the farm like that. I think the next 2 weeks are going to be very telling for that. I think if the Royals can get hot again and get back to 10, 11, 12 games above 500 and have some room in the wild card race, I think you're going to see the Royals be aggressive. That's what I want to see them do. There are no guarantees. Seth Lugo is having a Cy Young type season. Cole Reagans has been fantastic. Brady Singer's having a good year. Alec Marsh has been very good. You're having some really good performances from your starting pitching, and some of these players are older. These are not all young players here. There is no guarantee that next year your team is going to be significantly better. I would argue they probably will be. You've got guys like Bobby Witt, Vinny Pasquantino, Maikel Garcia. You've got those young guys heating up, playing well. But for every one of those, you've got a Salvador Perez, who's 34 years old, having a good season. But how many more of these does he have in him? You've got a Seth Lugo, 34 years old. But again, how many more seasons does he have like this in him? Well, so far he's had 0. This is his career year so far. He has never had a season like this. So hopefully he can have some more good years, because he spent a lot of time in the bullpen earlier in his career. But again, there's no guarantee of that. I want to see the Royals be aggressive here. If the team is telling you as a general manager that, hey, we are good enough, we can take 3 out of 4 from Cleveland, we can beat these guys, we can beat a team like the Rays. Yeah, we're going to slip up sometimes, but we can stay hot and not let the losing streaks get out of control. If they're telling the front office that, I think the front office will respond with some positive trades to improve this roster. All right, everybody, that's it for me this week. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I am really loving talking about the Kansas City Royals here, what is about to be July, and they are competitive. It is so much fun. Thank you, and everyone have a great day.